I've got a little girl with Down syndrome. She's called Matilda May. She's coming up 4. I opted out of testing for Down syndrome with Matilda because we didn't think we'd do anything any different. We didn't do any testing for my little boy. What will be, will be. I had a pretty rough pregnancy with her, which was consultant-led, suffering from morning sickness quite a lot, had a few admissions. And I had gestational diabetes, so I was to be induced at 38 weeks and went in for that. And a very fast delivery, which is what I do quite well. And then at about 36 hours old, we had the paediatric checks done on Matilda. I was struggling with breastfeeding, which I'd done with my little boy, which I really wanted to do with her as well. She was struggling and falling asleep and was quite floppy. And the doctor came in and did her checks, and my little boy was there. He was only 2 at the time. And he was quite boisterous and noisy and everything, seeing his new little baby sister. And the doctor said, to Dad, can you take him out of the room? I need to do these checks. And next thing is that my partner came back into the room to find me sort of hysterically crying that sorry, that Matilda may have Down syndrome. And I was upset that we'd actually been told separately. So I was obviously upset and didn't know what to think. So he needed to speak to Tom, and he sort of told him separately. The doctor could have, maybe got a sort of nurse in or something just to look after Jude, or just sort of said, I need to chat. Is there any chance we could chat later? Or just something as simple as that, just to be told together, was really important. Tom had to go home with my little boy, and next minute there was 2 doctors coming in and jabbing at Matilda, trying to get blood out of her, because we've got to get it done because the blood van goes in 20 minutes to Manchester. We've got to get this slot in. And I was just, my poor little girl was just being jabbed for blood. And then we were sort of just, while I was there in the room on my own, I was put in a side room originally. I thought, as a new mum, you think, that's really, really nice that you're put in a side room on your own. I won't have to listen to everybody else's babies crying. And also she was having checks done for her blood sugars because of my gestational diabetes. But with hindsight, we'll be put in a side room for a reason, because I know on speaking to other mums that has happened, that the baby's been given a diagnosis of Down syndrome and they've been put in a side room and away from all the other babies. I don't know whether it would have actually made any difference being with other mums at the time, but as it was, I was just left for an hour. Nobody came in to see me after I was given that initial diagnosis. Not a British, let's have a cup of tea and have a chat, or a cry, just nothing. The consultant came in and gave me a photocopied leaflet from the Down Syndrome Association, which was a really badly photocopied leaflet. It wasn't even photocopied straight. I just felt as though the diagnosis wasn't worthy of anything, a decent piece of literature, an original copy. It was as if it's just, she's got Down syndrome, just deal with it. Just being told, you can look it up on the internet, whereas, the Down Syndrome Association have amazing packs that you can hand out that have got leaflets that you can give to family and friends, that you can about your new baby. There's information for the whole family in there, not just the parents. If we'd have had something like that, because for us to break it to family as well was very difficult. Eventually somebody did come in, one of the healthcare assistants, and, why are you crying? I said, because she might have Down syndrome. We had somebody else last week that got given a diagnosis like that, but it wasn't right. So, you could get it where she hasn't got the diagnosis. And every time somebody came in, I had to say, why I was crying. It was as if nobody on the ward had been told. And just at the beginning to actually, just to say the words Down syndrome was horrific. I know it was our choice not to do tests, but if I'd have had tests, I would have looked upon the internet and read all the bad things. And now Matilda has literally changed our life for the better. But just those first few days can be really dark, and if you're just given the right support and right information, it can make such a difference. We left the hospital the next day. We didn't tell any family until we were going to get the official diagnosis, because we didn't want to worry people or anything. So I rang the consultant on the Friday morning and said, have you had the results back yet? And she said, no, my registrar will ring you this afternoon. Which at the time I just felt as though, surely it should be the consultant that's delivering that information. So we decided that we would do the same things as we did with Jude. His first trip out was to Asda, which was only 5 minutes walk from our house. So we went to Asda and, showing off our new little baby and things, and got a phone call in the middle of Asda. It wasn't a phone call of, are you with anybody? Are you free to talk? It was just, this is the doctor and Matilda's got Down syndrome. Every time I walk in there now, it just reminds me of, being given a diagnosis. Somebody should have sort of made sure I was in the right place at the right time to receive the actual official diagnosis, and not in the middle of a supermarket while we're doing the shopping for something that is life-changing within your family. And it's just something that you never forget. When you tell people that that's where you got the actual full diagnosis, are horrified to say, that you should have, at least face-to-face more than anything, is how you should be given the information on something like that. And by a consultant, not one of the junior doctors. After that, when we had a meeting with the health visitor and the paediatrician at separate appointments, the green inserts that go inside the red book, which are specifically for babies with Down syndrome, I was asked to source them myself, and because they didn't know where to get hold of them. Something like that, I had to ring the Down Syndrome Association and ask where local support groups were. Whereas I just think if you were given that information or given the chance to maybe speak to somebody from the local support group whilst you're in hospital, when I was given that potential diagnosis, would make a lot of difference. Just to know that, just for somebody to turn around and say everything's going to be all right, which is now, I've offered my services to do that. I'm very, very proactive within Down syndrome and raising the awareness for prenatal and postnatal, because I just don't want anybody to feel as lost as I did in those first few days and first few months. I just think they needed to have more information regarding Down syndrome, and explain something about it to us. You know about Down syndrome, you see people with Down syndrome, but you don't actually know about the condition, and just somebody to come and sit and talk with us, and make sure that they're saying person first. Matilda is Matilda, she has Down syndrome, she's not Down syndrome. Just always make sure that it's person first language. It's not the Down syndrome child. It's part of Matilda. It's not. It is a diagnosis as such, but it's not her. It doesn't sort of define her, sort of thing. She is Matilda. some people on my local, well, not my local group, but on the national group that I'm on, they've actually had sympathy cards sent from family to them, you know, and some of the things that I've, you know, they've had said to them since they've had children with Down syndrome is what a burden, you know, oh, she doesn't look very mongoloid, was off a midwife only last year to one of my friends. You know, those kind of words just aren't used anymore. But yeah, congratulations would be a big thing.